Hello, good day everyone. This is MB Media Affairs, where we digest the happenings in the political Nigerian landscape. And looking at today is the issue that surrounds Nigerian economic situation. As it becoming clear that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu lacked the competence to drive Nigerian economy. It is surprising that even as the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is very clear about the very primary purpose of governance that has to do with the welfare of Nigerians and their security, that the primary purpose of the government, as we are being seen, is targeted at revenue drive against the welfare of Nigerians. Though it is equally good that the federal government should increase its revenue. Hence, the Debt Management Office have said that the debt to GDP ratio of Nigeria, that is about 73.5%, is not sustainable for our economy. But in doing so, as a government that is just new, I think their attention or intention should be towards growing the economy to the point of production. As we can see that this government is serious about revenue drive as at the expense of production. It is no longer a history. It is no longer a news radar that this government have removed subsidy on PMS and equally did a policy on unification of Naira at the official window. These two policies is currently giving Nigerian economy serious volatility. I'm of the view that as a government, hence you have removed subsidy, that the government would have dealt with the issues that arise from subsidy removal, particularly how to address the concerns and challenges that the vulnerable Nigerians are facing. As a government that is interested in the welfare of Nigerians, one would have expected that the government should give the palliative a reasonable attention. And what we are seeing, instead of giving attention to the vulnerable as captured by Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, that over 133 million Nigerians are extra-dimensionally poor. Instead of the government giving serious attention to how to ameliorate the standard of living of the vulnerable Nigerians, we are seeing the federal government budgeting 70 billion for National Assembly, and the same amount have since been approved by the same National Assembly. This is purely an insensitivity on the part of federal government. Another area of serious concern has to do with government policy of unifying the Naira at the official window. One would have expected that hence the subsidy have been removed, that federal government would have tarried and waited until a time when our economy is seriously producing. I think this would have been a time where the federal government should have heavily and seriously diversified the economy into other areas like agriculture, solid mineral, and some other areas. And who say we cannot develop our seed sector to capture the African market? Unfortunately, the government is not looking in that direction. And if you look critically at the unification of the currency Naira at the official window, that is the major reason we are seeing the escalation of price of goods and services and commodities in Nigeria. Because it is evident that before the unification of the Naira at the official window, Naira was exchanging for 400 and something Naira to a dollar at that window, as against the 700 and something to a dollar in the black market. But currently, it is becoming a thing of difficulty for Nigerians, as people who import through that window for production have to spend more. No wonder Bakers Association of Nigeria have said that they are going to increase their product by 15%. And this same unification of Naira at the official window have equally made distribution companies of electricity in Nigeria to threaten to increase their tariff. So I'm of the view that hence federal government have removed subsidy on PMS. They would have tarried and heavily diversified the economy into production, so that when we start producing enough to earn foreign exchange in our economy, we can now think of that official window unification. So the way it stands, the federal government have crashed Nigerian economy, and it's understandable that the government should heed this advice. That one, you have to go back from that policy of unification of naira at the official window for now. Perhaps when you diversify the economy and start producing, you can throw it open. Secondly, there is every need, serious need, for the federal government of Nigeria to look towards converting vehicles to run on compressed natural gas, because research are proving that if you use compressed natural gas as against fossil fuel, that you'll be saving 40% to 50% of your operational costs. So it is better that the federal government of Nigeria should think towards that direction. And another issue is for those that argue that federal government of Nigeria needed to devalue the naira for production to take place in Nigeria. And so for some people who argue that when China needed to grow the economy, that they devalued their currency. The issue is that when China devalued their currency, their economy was a destination for production globally, as all indices that were attract investors was in place. For instance, they have solved the issue of power in their own economy, but you cannot say the same thing of Nigeria. So what Nigerian government need to do is to go back to production. And in going back to production, you must get all the fundamentals right. You must make sure that your enabling laws are sufficient, robust enough to attract investors, and that you have sustainable power supply. These are basis for investors coming into your economy, not the current situation we have where there is no sustainable power supply. Nigeria cannot continue in this trajectory. A situation where dollar is already exchanging for 800 and something naira to a dollar at the official window is not healthy for our economy, and is causing every price of goods and services in Nigeria to skyrocket. It is important that the government should be aware that if this trend continues, that the citizens equally reserve right of peaceful protest, and that if they are pushed to the wall, they may exploit that window of peaceful protest to press home their demand for good governance.